Welcome to the party.
It happened. Oh, we knew it was going to happen one of these days, didn't we?
For those of you who joined us, we had a conversation before that we didn't want anyone this week to forget to unmute. And Ben said, wouldn't it be funny if I'm the one that finally doesn't unmute? And I thought in my head, this is a self-fulfilling prophecy. And then lo and behold, the gods of irony come down.
Forget it. We're leaving that in the take. Hello, folks. Welcome to ParksCenter. My name's Ben, and you can hear me now, I hope. Joining me on tonight's show, we have Allison.
Sivako!
Ooh, doing it early tonight. Rob.
Hey, guys.
Nathan.
Greetings from the Sunshine State.
And Tyler.
Hi. Oh boy, I screwed that up.
We took your Sivako, didn't we?
Don't worry, you can't mess it up worse than I messed up that intro. Speaking of things that are messed up, Rivers of Light, We Are One, is coming this Memorial Day to Disney's Animal Kingdom. In an attempt to recover Rivers of Light, they are adding Disney properties to it. Will it be enough? We'll find out in a month. It looks like they are actually going to be integrating a bunch of Disney properties into the show. We don't know specifically which ones yet, but the original release did talk about the Circle of Life, so you can safely assume that they're going to put Lion King in there somewhere. Is this going to be enough? Is Rivers of Light just in need of some IP, or is this just a last-ditch effort to save something that's sinking?
It can only get better.
Fair.
So. Allison, you liked it though, don't you?
No, I like to Tree of Life Awakening, Rivers of Light, and not really. But I'm not against, like, if you're gonna have it, cross-promoting properties that are coming out. That's like since the dawn of the Disney company, they have done that. It's fine by me. What's sad? And it's kind of, if you're going to cross-promote, it would be neat to actually see live performers a la like the Broadway Lion King cross-promoting the new live-action Lion King film. That would be cool, but yeah, it's not going to fix the issues with it, but at least they're doing something new.
So let me just say that I think, obviously, with Illuminations, things like these shows can exist without IP. I think it can happen. I think there just needs to be a good story with it. And I think that that's what IP does, is it kind of ties a story to it, even for a split second, because you already have the backstory of what that was. You're a Disney fan, you're in a Disney park, they show Lion King, you get what that means. Just in my opinion, I feel like that's what it's really been lacking. And that's one thing that they always brag about with the Disney attraction, is it has a good story. It starts with a good story. And so I don't feel like there's really a story there. I don't think it's cohesive. And so to me, I think adding this in it has got to be, like Nathan said, it's got to be better than nothing to do that. It'll just be interesting to see. I assume they're going to try to cross-promote with the live-action Lion King and not the traditional animated Lion King. But, I saw the Jungle Book, show, Alive with Magic. Was that what it was called?
And we try to forget it.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, even that one, like IP couldn't save that. I mean, it just wasn't well done. And again, not really a story. So I think that if they can weave a story into it that is easy to understand, I'm sure there is a story. I think it's hard to like take it in during that show. It's very pretty. It's a pretty show, but I think Illuminations shows that it can be done without IP. But I hope this infuses something, because I saw it once. I don't really have much interest in seeing it again until this new 2.0 comes out.
A couple of quick thoughts. I think that no one's going to come to the parks for this. I don't think it's like a thing where people will make an extra trip. 2, I don't think that really matters, because Galaxy's Edge means everyone's going to show up to everywhere. And this gives people a reason, at least, to be like, all right, well, we haven't seen the show, so let's go there in the evening or something. Like, it's a way to push people towards Animal Kingdom. But also, we now have National Geographic, and I know they're adding Disney nature films to this, but I hope National Geographic starts seeing a presence as well in these sort of things. But Animal Kingdom as a whole, I hope, sees a lot more National Geographic properties and stuff added to it. So we'll see.
Yeah. Moving on to another relatively new. I guess moving from something relatively new to something that is coming down the pike much later than expected, I suppose. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway has been delayed until spring of 2020 at Walt Disney World. But in other news that's related, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is definitely coming to Toontown at Disneyland Park now. So we had a hunch, we had some evidence, but it has been officially confirmed at this point. It's going to be coming in 2022 to Disneyland. So 2 years after we get it, even after that delay.
Yeah. Who broke that news anyway?
What a fun day that was for all of us. Seeing like, oh, something's coming. We're like, we know.
We might have told you about that.
The whole delayed thing, it's just so bizarre because from the outside it looks like nothing's been done in the Hollywood Studios version, and it's bizarre to hear like it's delayed because we've seen like next to nothing except like maybe one or two few leaked photos, and like we've talked about this a billion times where like the original Disneyland was built in like a few months or something, and it's insane that this is taking like more than a year or two to go up in a park where the actual Star Wars land, which is the majority of that park, isn't even going to be done, to the point that half of it will be open. There will be no droids. There probably won't be any roaming characters. You won't be able to sit down and eat in a quick service location. Everything at Hollywood Studios is just.
Yeah. Do you have anything positive to say there, Tyler? I mean, I'm depressed.
I'm
now.
excited to go on it like 4 years from now when it's less busy and I actually can move in that park and there will be things to do there. But coming up this Saturday is Stage 89.
Yay!
Okay. Hey, so let me just say, like, I thought that when they showed this stuff at D23 that they were already pretty heavily into building this thing out, because they had all this stuff, and this is 2 years ago, D23, they had all this like kind of footage of the things they were testing and this new 2.5D. So I felt like they were all building this somewhere else and we're going to bring it and drop it into the building and it wouldn't take all that long. So obviously there's got to be something going on that's wrong. So we all love the Great Movie Ride. We all hope that whatever this is, when it finally gets built, is worthy of that building. And we're all going to scrutinize like heck, I'm sure. But so I'm all for them doing it right and making sure that it is right. I think it is a promising thing that they already have committed to the one in Disneyland, that they feel that confident that the one is in Florida is going to be that good. But I don't understand why it takes so long. And what I'm worried about is I thought that was going to be a little bit of a people eater when they opened up Star Wars. And now that that's not going to be a thing, I fear for Star Wars even more than I did before about the capacity of that park and what it can handle without that extra major attraction being involved with it.
Yep.
Yeah, and I want to quash something I keep hearing online. Online I keep hearing, well, I don't understand. Like, we have to get rid of the Great Movie Ride at Disney World, but at Toontown, where there's less room, they get a whole new ride and don't get to lose anything. It's uncomparable, and I don't know why people keep doing this to themselves. You are right, Rob.
Like that. That's awful.
I don't know either, but that's how Twitter sounds to me all day long. But I think that
sounds like Twitter's got a frog in its throat.
Right. I think that Disneyland is going to have a much better time with it. People have no expectation; they're just happy to have another thing, especially with Galaxy's Edge being there. Mm-hmm. Whereas it's going to get highly scrutinized in Hollywood Studios because we have this vested interest in already hating it for some people. So I agree. I want them to do it right, and I'm glad that they're waiting as long as they need to do it right because it's very projection heavy.
Yeah. But with the one in California, they're physically going to have to build a new building, right? As opposed to they could just move into this one. So I mean, it makes sense it's going to take a while there, but still, I mean, they're going to have to build a brand new building, and it will
building that we already
less
have.
time.
Think of how old it is. Think of how old the Great Movie Ride building is. Not only, sorry, Ben, we'll
can go a little over. It's okay.
Show. We can't. Okay. Think of how old that building is, and everything that the infrastructure there was designed for the ride that was there before it. So for everything that's Great Movie Ride, like they basically have to tear up everything that was there, including whatever kind of track system they had at the time. I don't know if it was one of the kind of wire. It was trackless, but they had like some kind of wire. It was embedded in the ground. Not only do they need to tear that up, but they need to lay down a whole new foundation in that building for the new trackless ride system, which I believe works entirely with magnets, or just like sensor. I don't know. Isn't that how they move along
How do they work?
entirely?
No, you might be right. It sounded amusing.
It's I don't know, magnets.
Magnets or something. These kids doing with their rides nowadays.
Back in my day.
And
Get us
then
on
they
track,
need to
man.
install,
That's a good.
like, they need to tear down all the rooms that are set up there and then build an entirely new one. That's why nothing is done on the Energy Pavilion right now. You can see, like, straight through it. That whole building is so old. Think of how much asbestos is in it. There isn't, but I'm just like, you can imagine, probably. So all that needs to be completely done. I understand why it would be delayed. It's just, you know, if you plan these things out ahead of time and you have computer systems to like organize where all the like the Erica ducts and everything is going to go. Sorry about that, Expedition Everest. But if you know where all that stuff's going to go and you have it planned out and you have all these people that are constantly going in and out of that building. Anyways.
We do need to move on because we've got a bit of a double shot tonight in honor of Studio's 30th anniversary, because unfortunately, we won't be on next week. We're all of us are going to be down at Stage 89. Go check that out, stage89.com. Come say hi to us. It's going to be a good time. But I thought in honor of the park, we could kind of go around the room real quick and share some stories from the history of studios from you folks. Who wants to go first here? Like, because I think we were talking beforehand. I think Allison's got a good one.
So summer 1994 is when they opened Hollywood Tower of Terror, my favorite ride. I was 9 years old and I was terrified to go on it. So my dad bought me this gigantic Miko plush puppet, and it was about the size of me. And I brought it on the ride. I remember going through the queue with like the misty outdoors, all that stuff with this giant puppet, and like just like almost crying into the puppet, but it was sort of comforting. Anyway, took the ride. I was terrified the whole time, but as soon as we got down, I was like, okay, that was the greatest attraction I've ever been on. We need to go on again. But when we stopped, a cast member took us aside, and they were like, this is the first time that Miko Terror. So they took a photo, and they took it and put it in their book, and they gave us a certificate that allowed us to go to the front of the line the next time we were in Walt Disney World, or any time we were in Walt Disney World in the future, which of course we never used. We framed. It was really special, but like I remember now everything about it, and it's like those kinds of special touches that cast members can really create magic for you. And it's still to this day my favorite ride.
Gosh, I love that. Like I've got a Tower of Terror story myself. I'll do pretty quick.
Oh, go ahead.
So I was there for Extra Magic Hours late one night, and I got in line for Tower at about 11:50 at night. When we got to the ride, it was pretty much midnight, if not exactly midnight at that point. So we get on the ride. The ride starts. About halfway through the drop sequence, there's this like pause in the middle of the drop shaft. It's not long enough that most people would have noticed this, but me, having ridden this double-digit times, goes, that's different. And then it continues on its ride cycle. We get to the bottom of the elevator shaft, backs out of the elevator, and stops. It does not rotate the face of the doors. The lights come on after a period of time. And we're just sitting here in this room with all of these props from the Twilight Zone, including one of the dummies from one of the episodes that's staring directly at this lady in the front row. And she is flipping out about this. And like it is like I'm wondering how I'm going to get home tonight, like, because I'm taking buses and I'm hoping that they keep the buses running that late. As these are Shades of Green buses, so it's a little questionable. Eventually, we get off of the ride, and they're like, everything is fine. Sorry for the different than normal ride experience. Would you like to ride again? And so I say yes with one other group of like 3 people, and we ride Tower again at like 12:30 at night.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so that's my Tower story.
Mine's also a tower story, but a larger thing. It was my first time at Hollywood Studios. It was a half day with Animal Kingdom, and it was just me and my girlfriend in college at the time, as she was working in the parks as a college program. And I got ill, and I mean ill, like fever, sweating, sometimes couldn't really stand, lean, not ill. But I wouldn't leave the park because I didn't know when I would be back. And I rode Toy Story Mania in a complete fever. And then she said, "We need to take you home." And I said, "I'm riding Tower of Terror, and then maybe we can leave. But I'm riding Tower of Terror." She's like, "You're crazy." And I said, "No, I'm going to do it." So the first time I ever rode Tower of Terror, I was in an absolute 100% flop sweat with a fever. And it makes for a very interesting ride. I don't necessarily recommend it. I didn't feel throw-uppy or anything like that. I just was ill in a different sort of way, so it wasn't like nausea or anything. But boy, everyone's screaming, and I'm like, that's about all I can give. And it makes the ride very chill, actually. You would think it'd be scarier, but you don't have enough in you to care that much. But yeah, it was interesting. And then she sort of drugged me out of the park. So there you go. Anybody else have a story?
I think it needs to go to Tyler and then me, so we'll do a whole clockwise thing or counterclockwise.
Do real quick, yeah.
Sure.
Do you have one, Tyler?
I'll do mine really quick. 1997. It was still MGM. I was 6, and everything was scary. Everything was horrifying to me because they put you in these situations where it's like, oh no, fire! And as a kid, I'm like, oh my god! Or like, imagine being 6, you've never seen 3D before, and you go to Muppet Vision, where the characters are like, oh, duck everyone, he's bouncing on your heads, and I'm like, and then like the shitty chef has like a cannon, and the theater gets blown up, and I just remember being like, how are they gonna fix the theater? Like everything was horrifying to me, especially Muppet Vision. 3D is scary.
It is.
So mine, I loved the studios so much. I went when it first opened and was just a huge fan of it so much. Oh, come on.
Ignore that buzzer. Go power through it. Power through it.
I'm doing it. So much so that I actually went back and became a cast member and was hoping to work at Hollywood Studios and ended up working at Epcot at Land Boats, which at the time was like the unofficial guide said, if you need to miss something, miss this. But I wanted to do the studios, but I used to go there all the time because they had a program called the Star of the Day, where they would bring in somebody semi-famous. They would take a limo ride down, or an open car ride down Hollywood Boulevard, and they would get out at what was the Theater of the Stars. They would go to Grauman or the Chinese Theater and do handprints, and then go to the Theater of the Stars and do like an interview thing. And I really loved that experience. It was so cool. It really did make it feel like it was Hollywood. So, I mean, that was one of my favorite things to do. But my actually favorite studio moment, I think, of all time was that when this blog did a great movie ride walkthrough event, I actually took my son, got in a car, drove down just to do the closing event where they had bought out the theater or the Great Movie Ride, and we could walk through the Great Movie Ride, and then there was a dessert party at the end, and it was the coolest thing that I had ever done, and I will never forget that. So I'm really excited about the next event at Stage 89, but like that to me is what got me hooked with this blog, got me hooked with these events too.
Yeah. Cool. Stage89.com, folks, come check it out. There's going to be a lot of people telling a lot of cool stories. Check out the Hollywood That Was event that for a lot of really cool things. Please go read the description. We've run out of time and I have to move on, but I could talk about it forever. So we have some news about interactive droids in Star Wars land, specifically the fact that they're not happening. Or at least not at opening, we'll say. We did originally announce that there were going to be roaming droid characters that we were going to have in the park, but according to sources, Disney's decided it will just be too crowded for the opening weeks and months to have the droids attempting to roll through the streets. So there was a test of this. It happened in Tomorrowland, and this little girl beat up on this poor droid. Like, oh my goodness! Like she really went to town on this thing. but it kept on trucking.
That kid put his foot on it, like.
Yeah, like people were mean. I can understand why they might be cautious.
Garbage.
Yeah,
put it like that. Parents are garbage. These are garbage.
What is
parents.
opening when it opens?
I mean, that's actually a fair question at this point.
Merchandise.
So all of the merchandise locations will certainly be open. We're going to have the canteen. We're going to have the Millennium Falcon attraction. We will not have the Rise of the Resistance attraction, and we will not have the roaming characters, or the roaming droids, I'll say. We might have roaming characters, but no, they would be humans or human-like entities, not robots. Except for the merchandise robots that you can get and customize and have roll around the park yourself. So if you are sick and tired of the fact that there aren't enough robots in this park, you can get your own and put it there, gosh darn it. And when you realize that you can't move them around, you can put them in the backpack.
Oh, that's cute.
That is a cute.
That is a really cute backpack, I gotta say. Like, I think this is a neat idea. I kind of gave it some flack there, but I think that's really cool that they're doing this.
I mean, I don't care. It's fine. Maybe make a park where it could be super crowded and also have droids. And think that went through. Maybe a little bit, nice. Especially in Hollywood Studios. But I get it. Sure.
You know what would be really cool is if they put the droids like outside in like the Grand Avenue area, almost like a kind of thing for people to do while they're waiting to get in. So that that there was cool. Like an extra like kind of a teaser for what was about to happen, so it wouldn't have to be in the land itself, but people could still experience them. Because they had one again at the D23 event a couple years ago, and it was really cool to see. But then after you see that little girl, you're like, yeah, people ruin everything.
They do. They really do.
Star Wars is starting to feel like a real disappointment.
It's a really interesting communication spin that Disney's put on this. At least this is how I read it. But like, rather than saying we have not built droids that are durable enough to sustain the abuse of a 45-pound guest. Instead, we'll blame like, oh, it's just going to be too crowded for them. But it's I really think like it's on them to develop things that will work with
Oh gosh, doing your own droid impression there towards the end.
Yeah, you went out a little bit there.
Sorry.
What a note to go out on there. Well, moving to more Star Wars news, because apparently we just can't have enough of it. We might, this is just a rumor at this point, but we might have some details on a possible resort name and a starship name for the Star Wars hotel that's coming to studios. So we currently have reason to believe that your vessel will be the ship called, or be part of the ship line called the Chandrila Star Line, which Chandrila is a planet in Star Wars mythology. You can read up on that if you're interested. Here are some early designs for that, what that logo might look like, what it looks like on a rocks glass, because you're going to need a drink after having paid for this experience. The real interesting thing to note about this is that the planet of Chandrila is the home planet of Kylo Ren or Ben Solo. Spoilers, sorry. So
at this point,
it's been out for a while. Deal with it.
I swear, if you people spoil in-game for me.
Oh gosh, no! Please don't do that thing. But anyways, Is this interesting? Like, I think it's neat that they're trying to tie this in, but I think it's a little dangerous that they're trying to tie it into Kylo Ren. Like, that seems, I want to say ham-handed, but I'm not sure.
I don't think they're tying it in at all. I think it's just a place.
Really?
And they picked it. It's part of canon, and they're I think it's an aspect of it, but I mean, what's he gonna do? Go home? And we're like, oh, hey, what's up? It's Kylo Ren. Like, no. So, I don't know. Hey, I'm just here to stop by, say hey to mom and dad. Oh, this takes place before the first movie. Cool.
Oh my gosh, it's Kylo Ren. Hey.
Hey.
Maybe Kylo Ren can be your wake-up call the way that Mickey is in the regular hotel. You know what I would say though is that I think ultimately people are still going to call it the Star Wars Hotel, just like people are still calling it Star Wars Land instead of Galaxy's Edge. You're going to be calling it the Star Wars Hotel. So I think it just to Nathan's point, it's canon. It's not going to make a huge difference. I think maybe to the people who get it, it's going to be a cool little nod to it. And I think to everybody else, it'll be like, how do you pronounce that again?
Yeah, really.
Chandrilla.
Chandrilla, I believe is correct.
Chandrilla.
Star Wars nerds, please don't correct me in the comments.
Too late.
It's so much more than a hotel. I don't think anyone has any idea how big and different this is going to be than just like staying at a hotel. Like the whole concept that like you're on this spaceship. You know what I like to do? It's like 3 a.m. at Coronado and I can't sleep. I like to walk around. I'm not going to be able to do that at the Star Wars hotel. They're not going to they're not going to call me a shuttle to go back to Earth so I can walk outside the resort. That's not going to happen.
What if this is the next Disney Quest? That's what I think.
Oh my gosh.
I think this might be the next Disney Quest. We'll see.
Yeah. I could see that. And finally tonight, Tomorrowland Speedway, they shortened the track.
That's the joke.
That's the joke. So Tomorrowland Speedway should be opening back up in a little under a month, but having looked at the repaving they've done, they have indeed shortened the track in order for Tron construction to continue. Looks to me like they wouldn't be doing this if they weren't going to be keeping the attraction around. I think that's a misstep. I think they might want to get rid of this. Change my mind.
Why? Wait. I mean, why? First of all, it's an extra attraction. Like, why would you get rid of an extra attraction if you like, we were talking about Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Why would you get rid of an extra attraction if you didn't have to? And there's really, I don't think, much space to do much of anything else, especially for the aesthetic. I mean, you can't put a show building in there. So for me, I'm glad they're keeping it around. Plus, there's always a huge line. Now, me personally, I don't always get on it, but it is another people eater, another attraction to take, to take some weight off of the others. So if you could keep it, why not? I just hope that they plus it out somehow, that they make the cars look like Tron cars, or that they replace them with, I mean, it's 2019. Why do we still have gas-powered go-karts?
Yes.
So I feel like that there's a lot they can do with it. I love Autotopia in California, and I think this is not as cool as that is. So there's still there's a lot of character to that ride still, and it's a longer path, and you go through like a little creek, and I mean it's a really neat attraction. So same cars, just a different layout. I hope they can add something to it, plus it out, so that there's a reason to ride it. But I don't know why you just get rid of it if you had the choice. Put up another frozen Coke stand? What are you looking for?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because the frozen Coke stand is likely to eat up more people than this actual attraction. This is like the slowest load capacity imaginable. It takes forever to get people in and out of the car. And then on top of that, the Coke stand would generate revenue, where this causes them to have to pay hazard pay because of the fumes.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They should get rid of. I mean, they should go electric with that, and that would be an impressive upgrade to it. And then make it look something that would fit in with the whole Tron and Tomorrowland theme. I mean, the fact that it's the Tomorrowland Speedway is kind of hilarious because it doesn't look anything like tomorrow or even yesterday. I mean, I don't know why
the fantasy.
There are always such long lines for it, though, and so I do feel like and maybe it doesn't eat the people as fast as they could, but they're still standing in line for it.
Yeah, I feel like that's only for
their
capacity.
They love their spinners, and Shanghai's got a great jetpack spinner that looks cool.
Yeah,
and it's very Tomorrowland. And you could probably put one right there. And I know it's right next to Dumbo, so that's probably dumb, but
or Astro Orbiter.
At the same time, that's a valid point. I mean, it's a little different. But, like, there are other things that can be done with that area. I mean, just widen it. Just widen the whole path because there's enough traffic there anyway.
Make a proper
I don't like
transition.
that ride.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, for a second there, I thought you were making a shot at me.
Oh, no. We should
Come on,
put Ben
Ben.
in charge of the transition.
In the show,
Of the
There
Ben,
we go.
properly.
Speaking
this
of
a
transitions,
proper
let's end the show tonight, folks. So thank you all for watching ParksCenter this week. Like I said at the top of the show, we will be off next week for Stage 89. If you folks don't know about it, please head over to stage89.com. It's starting in 2 days, 10 hours, 24 minutes. Oh my gosh, it's so close. Good grief. You can see all the events we've got planned, from a private screening of Endgame on Friday night all the way through to Tuesday. We've got games in the parks. We've got the official 30th anniversary events happening on Wednesday. If you can come for any, all, or part of this, we've got games. We've got the studios that was, stories from the making of the studios. We've got Pleasure Beach celebrating Pleasure Island, which opened in '89. Go check that out if you haven't yet. And Tyler, I think you've got a little event going on the side as well. Well, not a little event. It's a big event.
Yeah.
Tell us about your side
It
hustle.
might be a little fun. Us Ride Rehab folks, we come from Canada, so we're going to celebrate Canada at the Canada Pavilion, talking about Canada. Also because, Canada, that might be changing in the future. Martin Short might not be part of it anymore. Martin Short, please come to our event. So yeah, we're going to be doing just a little meetup. It'll be fun. We give you some fun facts about Canada. Maybe we have a whole 150 free pins that we're going to be giving away, sitting right over here. And yeah, we'll have other fun prizes as well, courtesy of WWNT, and it'll be a good time. So come on by. That's April 29th, and that'll be at 3 to 5. It's right after our Typhoon Lagoon event and right before the Pleasure Beach. So come learn about Canada and then rock out on the beach.
Nice. And I think Nathan, you have something you want to talk about with respect to Dreamfinders. What is that?
The podcast. Yeah, so my podcast, Dreamfinders, where we talk about the creative culture of Disney theme parks with Imagineers and all sorts. We just had an interview that was released Tuesday with Eric Cantor of Expedition Roasters. They do Disney, mostly Disney parks themed coffees and teas, and they're really great people. And so we have a conversation with them. And at the end of the episode, I give details on a giveaway. And all you've got to do is fill out the form and give us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes, and then also go over and like Expedition Roasters on Facebook. And if you do all those things, you might win yourself a pack. I believe he's going to do a 12-ounce of coffee or tea of your choice of the nerd-themed stuff. And there's all sorts. There's Star Wars coffee and Jungle Cruise coffee, and there's a lot. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, they have some good
So
stuff.
if you haven't checked out Dreamfinders yet, come check us out. You can find us on iTunes or Spotify or TuneIn or iHeartRadio or any place that you prefer.
Nice. All right, that is going to do it for tonight's show, folks. Unfortunately, we do not have a post-show tonight because we're all prepping to get down for Stage 89 starting in just over 2 days at this point. Goodness. So we don't have a post-show. We normally do. Big thank you goes out to all of our patrons over at patreon.com/WDWNT, or our WIGS members, as we like to call them, for the WDWNT Interglobe Society. For as little as $2 a month, you can help support this show and all the other shows that we put out. Get access to our post shows, the post shows for News Tonight. The entire podcast backlog is available on there, along with a bunch of other perks. So head over there, check that out if you haven't yet. Patreon.com/WDWNT. All right, that's going to do it for tonight's show, folks. Thank you all for joining us. We will see you next week.
Bye.
Do.